Up next, we have trade for or trade away. So these are three guys that right now, in our estimation, that you should trade for right now. You get these guys before they're going to cost you the arm and the leg, such as I have Josh Downs as one of my trade for guys. Kendra Miller and Michael Wilson. And as you can see, Pez has Henry slash Ty J. Spears, Watson, and Hollywood. Pez, what are you thinking with Ty J. Spears here? You thinking he's going to take over the full time job?
It's a double header in a way, solely because this one is for if you have the ability, because obviously Henry still has the namesake, but if you listen to a lot of fantasy, all the snap share and stuff like that about Spears eating into his workload and things like that. Obviously, this week just gone will probably make it a little bit harder to get Henry. But I think Spears might still be out there, and it's more the back end of the year stash if you can afford to do it. Because if you look at the playoffs, if you're a team where you're quite confident you can get to the playoffs, the Titans have Houston, the Seahawks, and Houston.
Oh,
So the main one's Derrick Henry because he loves Houston. So if you can manage to prize Derrick Henry from that manager now, and he will, like you've seen already, he looks like he's going to have a bit of an up and down year with some really good years, some games, some bad games. But if you can afford to get him and almost like put up with that with your other players, come the playoffs, he could be the league winner for that manager, in my opinion.
uh,
The caveat with
the
Spears,
interesting one for me is Hollywood Brown. And I have Michael Wilson, which are, yeah, I'm thinking Hollywood is already a known player. You know what to expect.
so
Michael Wilson, I think, is Dobbs' favorite guy.
this is my thing, and it's a great shout before the games yesterday because obviously we talk about this before Sunday's games kick off. So what a brilliant shout with his was it 2 touchdowns and his big like breakout game. But I say Hollywood because only from personal perspective, in my home league, I've had Hollywood on my bench every single week, and each week I say
Yeah,
to myself,
yeah.
I'm going to play him this week, but this week he's going to end up scoring a dud and he's going to end up getting like 9 points and he's not going to do anything. But each week he consistently gets 17 points, 17 points, 17 points. So even though Michael Wilson might get a bit more involved, I think all that's going to happen is Hollywood Brown still won. Michael Wilson will become the solid two, and he'll just start eating into Rondell Moore, really Rondell Moore, because who's the
Yeah.
other Deutsch
What a disappointment.
it's mainly Rondell Moore, so I think he's going to basically take over Rondell Moore. But Hollywood Brown's
Mm.
still going to probably give you that consistent 16 to 17 points.
Yeah, and Johnny mentions here, our Uwe Kicks mentions that Ertz might be a good roster addition.
But
Yeah,
just
definitely if you need a backup.
1 minute, but always easy on IR. I didn't realise that. Just to answer EW Kicks' comment there, I'd throw back to him. Do you really think Kyler Murray's coming back?
I, I would seriously doubt
The way
Kyler
Dobbs is
Murray's coming back.
playing, I don't know where his form's come, but why the hell would you bring Kyler Murray back when one, he's just a big baby. Two, you want to keep him as healthy as possible. So their season,
Yeah.
how I look at the Cardinals is they're probably going to do this. They're probably going to do really well, still lose the games really well, put themselves on the market. So like Club Williams is saying, if the situation isn't right, I'll stay in college. But they're showing
Mm,
they have a team. They just need a quarterback essentially to like
right.
defensive depth pieces and a quarterback. So why bring Kyler back when you're doing this at the moment, and then when your season's pretty much done at the back end, activate Kyler, give him a couple of games to remind all the teams what Kyler can do, and then trade him and get rid of him. Start fresh. That Gannon
Yeah.
probably doesn't want him.
100%. I can see them trying to trade
Big little
Murray
baby.
in the offseason. I'm wondering what they would expect to get for a guy like Murray coming off an injury, and he didn't have a great season his last season before he was injured. So I'd be interested in what the market for Kyler would be.
It the NFL teams are stupid at the end of the day. Like that's my opinion. They're stupid. Like Kyler Murray can run around. He's small. He can sling it. Oh yeah, he'll fit perfectly for us. And that's what
Mm,
teams see. They just see the talent. They don't look at the external factors when Kyler Murray breaks down every single year. Like every year without fail, that guy gets injured.
the
So
last 5 games, he's
so he has really good
fragile.
production until his body can't take the hits anymore. So someone will pay for him, and I think that is their best route to regrow themselves. Don't keep him around. Just get rid of
Yeah,
him.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think the Cardinals need to move on from Murray.
Um,
It'd be interesting. I think a third round pick is all they're going to get, if that.
no, they'll
And
get more than that.
before
They'll
we
get more
move
than
on, you think they'll get more than that?
yeah.
Possibly, possibly. I will
Before
say, Kendra Miller, I still have high hopes for you, my man.
I was going to ask you about this before we moved on, I wanted to understand your Kendra Miller pick here.
Yeah, I drafted him in the late first round in all the rookie drafts or the early second round. As soon as I have him in probably 80 to 90% of my teams. And I just expected him to really break out when Kamara was gone. He fit perfectly in that offense. I'm thinking the second half of the season, he's going to be the guy. But Kamara looked good yesterday. So,
He got 14 targets. Like Jacobs was so good last year because he had Derek Carr who just dump off passes to him when everything broke down. He's a safety valve, and Alvin Kamara is like one of the best safety valves in the league for that. He showed it. Missed 4 games or 3 games, and straight out 14 targets, caught 13 of them. Goes for 21 fantasy points. Anyone who managed to steal Kamara in a trade or sat with
the
him,
bench warmer from the Lumberjacks
yeah,
got him.
yeah, licking his lips.
Healthy.
But don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
think Kendra Miller will get better. You just got to remember his injury history coming into the league all preseason. I think it's going to delay his production, but I think with Alvin Kamara back playing like he's playing, it's going to give him the opportunity to um, to develop a bit slower, and then the back end of the year he might then dual role it. Because don't forget, Kamara is 28 and he has suffered with injuries, so they might not want to like completely break him down.
Yeah, I'm feeling what Super Gibbs is saying here.
I was just about to say
He
that, yeah.
Kendra's usage rate going up. I can agree with that. Uh, I may be still out on my limb and refusing to give up on a broken player this year, but it is who I got. I am interested in who you have as your trade away guy,
Do you know,
Pez.
Paul,
Yeah, go ahead.
before we move on, we'll get Johnny to write a note in the production notes that later in the season we'll come back to the whole Kendra Miller and see how well he's done for you.
Yeah, yeah, and we got to revisit the Michael Wilson and Hollywood battle as well to see who had the right choices there. These are the guys that if you have these guys, they have big names or big stats right now. However, I'm thinking, you're thinking, get rid of them right now. Value is high. And I see we both have Jamar Gibbs listed here. I am with you 100%. If you have Gibbs on your team, trade him now. Get that first and second round draft choice for the next season and feel happy about it. What are you thinking about Gibbs?
Yeah, it's not very like it's not probably a nice feeling for any Gibbs managers that Montgomery comes straight back from whatever injury it was, and he basically just takes the workhorse role back. It's like all the hype in the preseason that this guy's going to be amazing, pass catching, running back with this, that, and the other. And Montgomery's just stifling him at the moment. And he's killing teams. Like in my home league, the guy who's got Jamal Gibbs will not bench him, and he's killing him. Like he managed to scrape wins by, but well,
You can't. I
well,
mean,
that's
he's
the
going to
thing.
have that breakout game.
Yeah, but yeah, and then when you're 1-7 later on down the season, you're like, why?
Yeah,
Because Gibbs is on your fucking
yeah.
team. Yeah,
And you look back and you see the schedule, and you see that you've lost like 8 games by less than 10 points, and you see that you've had Gibbs starting
and they're
every
all on the
game with
bench.
another running back on the bench. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I'm
that,
stubborn.
that is the Jamal Gibbs manager for the whole season. That is just what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah, I'm with you on
unfortunately,
that.
yeah.
And I think Brees Hall is right there. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be the rookie Hall. I think that Brees Hall version is done, at least for this year. I don't think he has a chance to get back to his playing abilities that he had last year. Uh, if you can get a first and a second or a couple of firsts for him, I would do it in a heartbeat.
It,
How
in
you feeling about
Dynasty,
Hall?
Hall, you'd probably be able to still squeeze a first. Not in redraft, though. Unfortunately, I didn't touch him anywhere because
Yeah,
I,
neither did
I
I.
don't like this whole. He's got back this quick from the ACL, and they're saying he's hitting top speeds in preseason. I don't like listening to any of that, and he's showing it. He's showing it. He's probably not 100% healthy, and they're almost like forcing him to play instead of him fully recovering. And like you said, it's probably going to end up affecting his whole career. Like, remember
Why
Brees
would they
Hall
get
last
Cook?
year?
Why would they get Dalvin Cook if Brees Hall was healthy?
Exactly. If you
Or
remember Brees
not
Hall last
showing
year
that there's something wrong with him?
with Zach Wilson, even with Zach Wilson, Mike White, he was just doing everything by himself. He was keeping that team in, and now he's like a non-factor. He's got like I don't watch many Jets games, but you just look at his stat line. It's like he can't get anything going. Like, is that because of him or is that because of the old line? I don't know, but yeah, I just wouldn't have picked
And
him up
you're
in the first
killing me
place.
with CD Lamb on this list, man. What are you doing?
I
CD? Trade
yeah
him now?
yeah. Whilst the name brand is still whilst the name brand is still favourable this early into the season, I just I have a feeling I just don't trust the Cowboys. Like I don't trust the Cowboys to I'm just trying to get up his game log here.
It's the
Um,
Cowboys. I mean, yeah, I get it. I
it's
tell you,
like
I am going to keep Lamb in my barn and take Pez out to the slaughterhouse and eat him with a little mint jelly. Lamb is
look
staying
at
on my team.
look at this 11, 25 against the Jets, great. 10, 14, and then he plays San Francisco. Like Dak's
Well,
probably going to get himself bent over backwards by them. And then he plays the Chargers. Now, all right, then, if anyone looks at that and thinks, what's he talking about? Hold judgment until the Chargers game. Because if he can't get
yeah,
over 20 points in a game where it's just going to be a shootout, then that's when you're like, shit, I should have listened and got rid of
yeah.
him when I could. Because if he can't do it then, I don't know when he's going to get consistency. In my opinion, I just don't trust the coach. I don't trust the Schottenheimer. I just don't trust any of it. And whilst his name's still worth some salt, you might be able to trade him some pieces like, your Josh Downs and accrue some more breakout at the back end of the second if you can
Yeah,
afford it.
definitely get a couple of pieces for him.
Hmm.
Yeah, a Cowboys fan. I love my CD. Uh, I'm old school. Give me the CD player and let me play the tunes, my man.
He's a great
Happy
player.
Sunday.
Doesn't mean I don't like him as a player. I just don't like that Mike McCarthy,
Yeah, I
Schottenheimer
hate Sean. One of those.
combination of shite, essentially.
I've never seen a good Schottenheimer offense.
Nope. I put
Never.
up with it too many years.
All right. Let's see what we have next on the list. I want to revisit these guys as well at the year end.
Just
I'm
before,
curious.
just before we moved on, one to talk about. Maybe Johnny might want to jump in. We can have a three-way conversation. EW Kicks put up one saying trade Puka and Atwell
Yeah.
before Cup comes back. My opinion on it is, I still think you keep Puka. You could probably get rid of Atwell.
Yeah. No one's buying Atwell, though. No one is going to buy Atwell for what he's probably worth to have on your bench as depth. Yeah.
True. True.
And even now, I doubt anyone's giving you a first for Puka. They're gonna offer you seconds. They're gonna offer you people like Cortland Sutton. You know,
What
they're
about
not gonna give
redraft?
you any
What about
value.
redraft then?
What about
Redraft.
Redraft.
drafts? Yeah, they're not going to give you. I mean, I made a trade for Puka, and I think I had to give up quite a bit to get him. Right? I doubt many people are going to be giving up what I gave up to get Puka. But I'm all in on Puka. I don't think that when Cup returns, I don't think he's taking touches away from Puka. I think Puka's replaced him already. Atwell, certainly, if you can get value for him, trade him 100%. Yeah. And Montgomery. Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions in our next segment, so we'll hold off on that one. But yeah, what do you think? What would you give for Atwell?
Me or
Yeah.
Johnny?
Johnny, oh yeah, Johnny, what would you give for Atwell? Would you even entertain adding him?
Well,
Trading him?
I have him. I have him in a couple of leagues because I think he basically he's taken over from Van Jefferson, who can't catch bugger all apart from maybe a cold. So even when Cup was back, Van Jefferson still got targets. It'll be better for best ball. You'll have the odd game where he'll have a crazy game and all that. But yeah, I wouldn't draft away Puka. I'd like to say Puka. Is it 39 targets in 4 games he's had now? Some daft thing like that. And it was a good touchdown he scored last night.
Yeah.
So Cup, you don't know what Cup's going to be like when he comes back. Ken, he might not. Well, they don't want to rush him back, but then if they keep him prolonging how long he's going to be out, and you don't know how it was a bad injury, so you don't know how he's going to cope coming back, because he was dead in his feet a lot of games last year and the year before because he had that many targets, that many hits. Now they can spread it about between the two of them.
Yep.
Puka, 7 catches,
So,
38 points in the OrkneyBowl.
do you know what though? Whilst we're on this whole trade for, trade away thing, sometimes people overthink it. Sometimes people think, oh, like I put A-Chain on there, and I'm saying just because you might be able to, because sometimes it's better to try and get known commodities in fantasy football who do it year in, year out, and then chuck in an A-Chain where someone might want the new hotness, and you get the old dogs who get you over the line every single year. But do you know what? Sometimes it's like people get this, like, it's almost like the Josh Jacobs. He's literally followed the trend of last season, had his big breakout game last year,
week
exactly
4,
the same as before.
Yeah.
And people we now like, oh, I'm going to trade him away now and try and get some pieces. But what if Josh Jacobs just does what he did last year? And then you're in the playoffs scraping by and you lose in the semi-finals and it's all because of Josh Jacobs. And you're just like, why didn't I just keep hold of him? Sometimes we try and be too cute as fantasy managers to, let's try and trade for these pieces on this new breakout star. Well, just keep him and he might just win you games and get you to the playoffs. And then nearer to the playoffs, like a Derrick Henry, who's got a really good playoff run, you then go and use them to acquire a Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? A player who might not be doing that well. And people might be like, why are you trading away him for that guy who's not done that well? Because in the playoffs, he should absolutely destroy it.
I'm with you a bit. I am 100% on the Puka train. I'm not. I would get him and keep him. Atwell, Sure, why not? Move him. I would move Cup before I would move Puka.
Because,
That
like
could
I
be.
said last week, I do think that when Cup comes back, I think it's going to be a case that when it's all said and done, Puka's going to get into what Cup usually gets, being the younger
Cup.
Yeah, being the younger
They
guy.
love-
Like, I don't get what people think. Like, could you imagine what Sean McVay's going to do with 2 Cooper Cups in his team? Like, could you imagine what he did with 1 Cooper Cup? He won a Super Bowl with 1 Cooper Cup and destroyed
and
everyone.
Robert Woods, right?
But
And
now
with
you've
Odell
got 2.
Beckham.
You've got 2 Cooper Cups and an Atwell. I think that's a lot better than having a Cooper Cup, Robert Woods, and an Odell Beckham. Like,
And obviously, Higby got paid, so he had a few catches.
And he's got his last 2 games, double-digit fantasy points. He's starting to get more targets. Like, people, again, like I said, I just feel like sometimes as fantasy managers, we try and be too cute when just ride them both. Because if there's someone who's going to get them targets, especially in full PPR, Sean McVay is going to find a way to destroy everyone when Cup comes back. Like, it's just what he does. He's one of the best at it.
Are you jumping on the Rams bandwagon that I started?
No, still shit. They're still going to play him out. That will never happen. Ever happen.
Pez will never jump on the Rams bandwagon.
Nope.
He'll stomp all over the bandwagon, but will never jump on the bandwagon.
How long do the bolts on the tyres and then let it go down the hill? That's what happens.
You and other Raiders fans in the league, yeah.
Catching on fire on the way down.